Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it!
So this week marks the 30-year anniversary of the release of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, a film that in a lot of people's minds is the greatest action movie ever created. When I sat down and really started to think about this movie, I realized that this was my definitive Arnold movie growing up. I was born in '87 and this came out in '91, so I remember this being the first new Arnold movie that had a huge impact on me as a kid. I vividly remember reenacting scenes from this movie. It's good to see that not a lot's changed in the last 30 years. Can we just take a second and appreciate James Cameron for being the king of sequels that he is? Think about this for a second. He helped write the screenplay for Rambo First Blood Part 2. He gave us a sequel to Alien that managed to take the franchise in a whole new direction. And he gave us T2, which is a sequel to his own movie that arguably changed the way we look at summer blockbusters. Suddenly we realize that a big tentpole action movie can have an emotional core. A core that resonates and connects with people on a different level.
Why do you cry?
We didn't even know these types of movies could have a different level until James Cameron came along. What he does great is he takes the base idea of the original movie and he expands upon it in very logical ways. Rather than just do a rehash, he asks the question, what's the next step? Which is what a good sequel should do. Terminator 1 is a great movie, but at its core, it's pretty much an action movie mixed with a slasher movie. James Cameron took that concept and said, what if we make the audience care about the Terminator? What if we try to form a believable relationship between a young boy and a killing machine? In this story, a Terminator becomes a mentor/protector for John Connor, while simultaneously learning what it means to be human and the value of human life.
That makes sense.
That was a really bold direction to take this franchise in, but it works. Creators shouldn't be afraid to take things in exciting new directions. There's a few people in Hollywood who could learn from that. 2, 1, 3, Salvation, and somewhere down on the floor is Genesis and Dark Fate. Thank you. I think people take for granted just how big of a deal this movie was when it came out. I'm not entirely sure that if people going into this movie knew whether or not Arnold was going to be the good guy or the bad guy. I saw Terminator 2 before I saw 1, so it was actually a bigger shock for me as a kid to go back and watch 1 and see Arnold as a villain. But still, that's a very cool dynamic and a pretty nice twist that they added to this movie. I just have to say it, the opening credits for this film are amazing. They have that iconic Terminator song playing and everything is burning, and then you slowly start to see the Terminator skeleton come through the flames. Badass doesn't even begin to describe it. Let's talk about these characters for a moment. I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger gets enough credit for his performance in this movie. He somehow manages to find a nice balance between stoic and cold, and also being lovable and relatable. There's even comedic moments that he pulls off in this movie that don't feel forced or out of place. Again, something else that modern Hollywood could take some notes on. I enjoy Edward Furlong as John Connor. The script allows this character to go from being a punk kid to showing signs of being the leader that he would ultimately become. And they actually give John Connor shit to do. He's not just along for the ride. And then we have Sarah Connor, and again, this is a real strong female character. She's flawed and she's unstable, but again, who wouldn't be in this type of situation? Even when she goes too far and tries to kill Dyson, she realizes the error of her ways. That's her turning point because that family is looking at her like she's a Terminator. Her obsession over Judgment Day has turned her into the thing that she hates more than anything. It's just a really great character moment to see her break out of that.
But you one crazy ass bitch!
And then we have Robert Patrick as the T-1000. And talk about doing a lot with very little. This guy is an absolutely menacing presence on screen, and he barely says any words. I will admit the T-1000 CGI hasn't aged perfectly necessarily, but it's still really cool to see, and I thought it was an awesome concept for James Cameron to take the Terminator and take it to that next level. From this character's first appearance, he feels like a force of nature. Arnold Schwarzenegger is struggling against this guy, so it really makes the audience feel like, how are they ever going to stop him? He's an absolutely iconic villain.
Have you seen this boy?
it wouldn't be right unless I talked about some of these action sequences, all of which are brilliantly staged. They're also memorable, everything from the bar fight to the final chase. These scenes, mixed with the more emotional moments, make this movie move along in a fast pace. My favorite action sequence will always be the chase through the drainage ditch in LA. Holy shit, is it epic when Arnold jumps that bike down into the ditch and grabs John Connor just before the T-1000 runs him over. It's honestly exhilarating and everything a good action sequence should be. I also need to mention that nightmare sequence that people seem to think is the most accurate representation of a nuclear blast ever put on film. Just gonna say, it scared the shit out of me as a kid. In my Raiders of the Lost Ark review, I talked about how that movie has the greatest opening sequence in cinematic history. Well, I think T2 has one of the greatest final scenes in movie history. From the moment that Arnold says "Hasta la vista" and shoots the T-1000,
Hasta la vista, baby.
this movie goes to another level as far as finales go. In any other movie, that moment would be the finale. But after that, the T-1000 reforms, kicks Arnold's ass, nearly kills Sarah, and then kicks Arnold's ass again, and then gets shot to the edge of the platform by Sarah Connor until Arnold shows up and delivers that final blow. But it doesn't end there. It proceeds to tug at your heartstrings as the Terminator decides to sacrifice itself for the better of humanity, with John Connor pleading with him the whole time not to go. This movie is a goddamn masterpiece and perfect in every way. It's experiences like this that made me fall in love with movies in the first place. It's a big budget action movie with an emotional core. It has numerous iconic moments and lines of dialogue. This is everything you could ever want from a blockbuster, and that's why I'm going to give it the elusive Bill and Ted.
Excellent!
Remember, the future is not set. There is no fate but what we make for ourselves. So have you seen T2? I'm sure you have. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Shut up.